Alrighty then, so this is the second tutorial on this drawing here. And it's got a couple of firsts in it, which is kind of cool. So the first thing that we did was we made this cube right here, which is the body for the box and the Jack in the Box. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to make the lid. Now I know a lot of the lid you don't see, but it is really important to get it kind of right, because if something looks right, you don't even notice. It just looks right? But if something looks wrong, ooh, then you do notice. So we want to try and get this lid really right. Okay, how would we go about doing that? Slightly more complicated than what you might think. Okay, so I've got my cube here from before. And so I've got this back point here. That's all I needed to draw this inside of this thing for, really, was just to find this. Okay. So I can erase all the other lines that I don't need. So our first challenge is, if you're going to have this lid, how long do you make it? Because it's got to turn, right? It's got to turn on a hinge and rotate. And as it rotates, well, it's going to go from maybe more foreshortened here to much longer, as you can see by the time you get up here. So how do you represent that? Well, the thing is that you've got to draw a circle, right? Because when things rotate, they rotate in a circle. Okay. Well, you guys already kind of know how to do a circle. So underneath here, I've got another couple of pieces of paper. And everything is kind of taped down in various points so that I would have an easier time drawing this stuff without having everything sort of moving around on me. Okay, so what I'm going to do is to expand this side of my little cube into a much larger cube, and in fact one that's 4 times as big as this. All I have to do is this. I'll go from here, I'll go to the edge here, and keep going. So I've got this up, right, all the way like this. And so then here, all I have to do with how high this is going to be is I got to make this twice as tall. So this is how tall this is, right? So you know that if I just measure it, okay, from here to here, that's how tall it is. So if I want to make it twice as tall, well, that's easy. I can just go up twice as high. So I've got that. Okay, so there's my line. Hopefully that's clear enough. I feel like I should make them nice and dark so you can see them, but then it makes it harder to erase. Okay, so I've got this point here, and I've got this point here, right? And I'm going to go back to my vanishing point, just like so. All right. And maybe this is what I would have made first. But anyways, we've already got this. And if I go like this and I just keep drawing it through to where that intersects, that's my edge, right? That's where the next section is. Think of the train tracks. It's basically the exact same thing. I can go down here to where this line intersected. It's basically just like the train tracks. Okay, and so we can start to see that, yeah, I've got a cube, right? A cube that I've divided into really 4 equal sections, right? Here's 1, 2, 3, 4, right? And it really, it's like the train tracks, it's like the windows that you've drawn in the past. Nothing really new about that one. So here's another thing that is not going to be new to you, right? Is that we could take and we're going to make a circle here. Now we only have to make half the circle. We don't need this down here. And so what we'll do is we're going to take this and we're going to just draw here and measure this, the measured center. So let's see, about there. Let's see, is that right? Ooh, it was close, but not quite. That's all right. Split the difference, and there it is. There's my measured center. Remember, this is my perspective. That's how, it's the middle of it there, but my measured middle is right here. Okay, cool. Right, so there's my measured middle. And so you know I've got the angle here. If I draw this over here, okay, so now it's the same. And already that would be enough probably for me to draw a pretty good oval in. I could do that. You know, if I wanted to cheat a little bit more, all I would have to do is split this in half here, and let me see, between here and here, split that in half, and draw another little cheat for myself. There it is. Just come on over here, draw another little cheat over on this side, right? Same thing. And then my oval is practically made. Just go ahead and round that off a little bit. And I'll have a nice little oval. Okay. So the lid, when it opens, it has to open somewhere on that circle. So anywhere on that circle. So if the lid was like, oh, just barely open, that's how long it would be. If it was open all the way, that's how long it would be. If it was thrown back, that's how long it would be. If it was open all the way down here, that's how long it would be. If it was folded over, you know, I could make my other oval here, and that's how long it would be. So you can predict anywhere on that circle where that lid's going to be. Well, for my Jack in the Box, I just had it kind of like right here. So that was a lot of drawing, right, just to get this length. But, you know, without it, it's just not going to be right. And besides, you know, this whole thing of a perspective, if you're doing this one, which you don't have to do, right, then that means that you're kind of into it in the same way that I am into it, in the same way that Leonardo da Vinci was into it, in the same way that Albrecht Dürer was into it. You know, all these guys, all the Ninja Turtles, you know, Donatello and Michelangelo, all these guys, they love this stuff, and I do too, because it's so neat. It's such a way of taking this three-dimensional reality and accurately translating that to this two-dimensional illusion. So as you can see, I've just erased all those lines that I just made. But the important line is this one. That's one I've got. That's my length. Okay, so now, of course, this can just go back down to the vanishing point. Well, that's easy enough, right? Okay. And we made this point over here, so we know that this can go up to here. Now, I could just fake it, just kind of like on my roof. Bring it on over. And you know what? That would probably be just fine. But you know, on what they call an inclined plane, on a diagonal like this, you would have a vanishing point way up here. Now, for our purposes, that's just going to be so high up that it would be impractical to use that as a vanishing point. You know, it'd be along the edge, and everything could go to the edge. Here, let me show you that real quick on another little thing. So if I had, oh, let's say something, anything, little box, little box, little box, and let's say this was my lid to my box, and here's my box. Okay, and so so where would this angle be? Well, watch this. Here's the edge of my paper, you know, the same as my vanishing points, let's say. And if I was to go to that edge right here, so let's try not to get it up too high here. So right here, okay, and then over here, connected to the same place. So this way up here, this becomes my vanishing point. See, it's on the same line as your field of vision. Okay. And that would be the angle. And as you can see, it does. It narrows because it's all in perspective. Well, good enough. Now, back to this, though. Yeah, we could do that, or we could just fake it, or we could do this. Check this out. So if I was to estimate the center, let's say that this is the center right here. That seems pretty good. And if this was at more of an angle, I might treat it a little bit different. I know that this is probably going to be just a scotch longer than this because of the way that it's coming towards me. And, I have enough experience with perspective. And heck, that's one of the things that perspective is all about, is teaching you kind of how things work here. That was the center, so here we'll put it just a little bit below center. Because this is going to be bigger, just the same way that this front was bigger than this. Alrighty, and if I was to go back towards my vanishing point, and then I was also to take this point that I've got right down here, right, that's the original point, that's as long as what this is, and over to here, okay, now I've got the central point. So remember, this was the point that we found by going and making the inside. That's the inside edge of this little cube here. So it's here, and then this one was just that we got off the circle. Connect that. This is going back to the vanishing point. And so now, if we were to go from here and through the center and then just follow it out to wherever it hit this, then that becomes the angle. And you can see here what it did is it actually made the front a little bit bigger than the bottom. And that makes sense because the front here, since it's angled towards you, is going to be closer to you than this is. So you see how that worked out? Kind of cool, right? I know, it's kind of crazy just to get this one little bit of a line right here. But, what the heck. Okay, so we've got that, and that was how we got the lid. So that's pretty good. I would say that from there, it's just kind of some decoration. So we'll finish a few things up in the next tutorial.